Welcome, and thanks for tuning in. You know, as MLA, over the years, I've met a lot of really interesting people around the world, and some of the most interesting are right here in British Columbia and right here in the Fraser Valley. But right at the top of that list is my guest today, Frank Taliber, who, besides having an extraordinary talent for keeping my old vehicles on the road, more pointedly today, Frank, you have become a sought-after writer.
Thank you.
A prolific author of not just short stories any longer, but novels. And it's great for you to come in, drop by today. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the books you've written, some of the books that are on the market today, some of the books to come, and how you became a writer in the first place. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Pleasure being over. I always admire your work too, and it is nice to just sit down and chat about what I love doing. Is people ask me, I usually say, well, writing is in my soul. That's what possesses me.
If it's in your soul, you've given it an outlet.
That's true.
I want to get right to.
Okay.
I want to get right to the latest series of books that you're writing, because it is a series, and I've read, like many people, a lot of your material. But I have to say, the Joining, which you published a year and a half, couple years ago. Really hooked me, and is volume 1 of what you've titled The Ainsworth Chronicles. Tell us about The Ainsworth Chronicles.
So The Ainsworth Chronicles is mainly about the female detective Carol Ainsworth. That's actually her first big undercover case ever. So in this book, basically, she goes undercover. She as the head person at the Empress Hotel, the Fairmont Empress Hotel, and there's a group of 2 mafia families coming in for a wedding to get married and hooked up. But I mean, that's not why they're there. Why they're there, they discover, is that they're there to hook up with some West Coast drug operations. See, that's started up. As the book unfolds, she then soon discovers that there's more than that. There's an ancient curse involving, there's some satanic cults that are apparently around in Victoria, but there's also tons and tons.
And we're not talking about political parties.
No, not political parties. No, these are more like the AC/DC guys with the horns. And I guess there's a curse that involves the mafia and them from the past that gets sprung up. So all of these ghosts, a lot of them are getting agitated and really upset. She also, an FBI guy comes in as well to investigate undercover. He kind of knows the setup of what's going on.
Which develops into a romantic interest.
Exactly correct. And then fortunately for Carol, or maybe unfortunately, a third guy, one of the mafia guys, also defends romantic interests with Carol as well. So there's a crazy threesome there for people that are into that. But anyways, then what shows up is this old crazy psychic woman called Agnes, bearing a crystal skull of all things. And Carol asks her, "What are you doing here?" She goes, "Well, you asked me here." She goes, "No, I didn't." She goes, "Oh, yes, you did."
Miss Teak.
Miss Teak.
Miss Teak. Now we're going to come back to Miss Teak because she makes her first appearance in the Ainsworth Chronicles, in the Joining.
Yep.
And features very prominently in Volume 2,
yes,
which will be on the market very, very soon.
Yes.
You've described a little bit in the case of the Ainsworth Chronicles. There is this element of reality.
Yep.
You've touched on the fact that there is also when I say spiritual, a spirit world phenomenon. And there's a third layer. And I'm going to ask you about this, but I'm going to refer back to something I remember on one of the Star Trek episodes. One of the lesser known franchises. It was, I can't remember, there are so many now.
Yep.
But the captain of the ship, the woman was the captain of the Enterprise, and she says, time travel. That's where if you go back and you didn't exist and something happened, that just gives me a headache. I'm not going there. And yet you have also weaved a dimension of time travel into this.
Correctly. In the Mystery of Mystique particularly, I go back and forth in time. Because most people realize they think they can travel forward in time to see what happens in the future, but what they don't realize, you can go back in time from what I've read and actually see the past. Now, of course, the crucial element is not to do something that will change the past. And that's where Agnes rolls in, because she set Carol up to do something crazy here.
No spoiler alert here. Nope. You're gonna have to buy the books. You're gonna have to buy the Ainsworth Chronicles to get a more. But let me tell you this: it's worth the read, and it's worth the purchase. Now Agnes Mystique plays a pretty significant role in Volume 1 of the Ainsworth Chronicles. She now appears a second time. Can you give us a taste? Can you give us a tantalizing?
She in the second one, she's trying to undo something from the past. The main villainess from the first book comes back, but only in a certain way, and I won't say how that is. Then it also then reveals the biggest buried secret that Agnes has kept from herself. She didn't even know about this, but when she realizes what it is, it wakes up this other villainess, and that's what starts this whole thing about traveling back in time, back and forth.
Folks, the next chapter is the Mystery of Mystique, and Agnes awaits. And there are more stories within my guest today, Frank Talibert. Frank, a real delight.
My pleasure.
Congratulations.
Thank you for having me over.